Hey everybody. Okay, so today I will be reviewing All for the Boss by Ruchoma Shain. So this is a classic book. Um, if you haven't read it before, it's definitely worth getting. If you have read it before, I read this probably once a year, once every couple of years, and I learn something new every time. So Ruchoma Shain grew up in America in the early 1900s, like 1920s. And this is a book that she wrote. She writes it as though it's a biography of her father, Rabbi Yaakov Yosef Herman, who was a huge Talmid Chacham and really shaped Torah in America. You know, he started kashrus and a yeshiva, and it's funny, like it really gives you a portrait of early 1900s America, pre-Holocaust, where he would go to from weddings and like demand that there should be that there shouldn't be mixed dancing, which seems like today like a very standard thing, but back then this was something that he was championing. So it's very cool, which is that it gives you just an appreciation for 1920s America. But what I also really love is that it's really, I think, more of a memoir of Ruchoma Shain, and it really goes through her childhood, growing up, and her early married life, going to the Mir in Poland. And I think that's a really beautiful part of the book. So she grew up in a family where they did a ton of hachnasas orchim. They had so many guests, and a lot of them. So she emphasizes that they would have anyone, like people that wouldn't want to come, people that no one wanted to host. But then they also would host big rebbeim, like Rosh Hashivas who would come over from Europe, and they needed a place to stay where they trusted the kashrus, and so they would stay with her family. And so what's very interesting is that you get a perspective of these great Rosh Hashivas from a little girl. She talks about making tea for Rav Baruch Ber, and she says, "To this day, I feel blessed I was given the mitzvah of serving Rav Baruch Ber Leibowitz thanks to Rabbi Yaakov Yosef." So she, giving them tea and helping them is just it's just wild, talking about the Chafetz Chaim. I mean, who, he didn't come to America, but they definitely had interactions with him. It's wild. Like, this is just a window into a whole different world. So a very cool chapter also is that her brother-in-law, so her sister is Bessie, who married Rav Chaim Scheinberg, the famous Rosh Hashiva, and so she has a whole chapter about the Scheinbergs. But what's very cool is that you feel like you're like, oh, I know the Scheinbergs, like, yeah, that's like Bessie's husband, right? Because you feel like you're really just growing up with her in this book. So my very favorite part of this book is when she gets married. Her father convinces her to spend Shana Rishona at the Mir. She ends up staying there, I think, a few years, but it's not Mir in Yerushalayim, it's Mir in Poland. So she calls this honeymoon, and I really love it. It's a few chapters where she basically recreates letters that she had written to her parents when she lived in Poland. So they all start with "Dearest Mama and Papa," and gets into all these stories about what life is like in this little yeshiva village town, and how people would make fun of her that she was the fast-talking American, and she would come with her American Yiddish and learning how to cook in these like what's it called, like kachel stove. I don't even know how to pronounce that. So this is actually a picture of her there. I love the pictures. And it's just a really fantastic way into viewing the world. See, here are some of the Talmidim from the Mir in front of the castle, right? Because there used to be castles. She says, I learned that castles are not about fairy tales. And it's a really, really beautiful portrait of pre-Holocaust Europe. And she actually talks about how a lot of the families that she mentions here, who she's going to for Shabbos and making friends with, were murdered in the Holocaust. She also gets very sick during childbirth, and there's a whole section on that of where they thought that she was going to die, and she ended up, she lived, and her gratitude for that. Okay, so then they come back home, and then it talks about the end part is when her father then retires to Eretz Yisrael, to Israel, and how he moves his business of mitzvos to Israel. And it's really just really beautiful, because then that also gives you an appreciation for Israel, you know, many years ago as well. And how she went to visit him, and she took a plane ride, and it was such a big deal to take a plane ride or to call, because it cost per minute. And anyway, so this is a really, really beautiful book. So this is great for a long summer Shabbos. If you're going on vacation before school starts, you want an easy read, but that's also inspirational and impactful, I would definitely recommend All for the Boss. If you would like more Jewish book reviews, please subscribe to this channel. Please like this video. Please comment. Let me know if you've read this book, if you plan on getting it. There is a link to buy it in the description below. Thank you so much.